Welcome to another episode of Off Leash with Dr. Pete. I'm your co-host, Molly Van Branken. We're so glad that you joined us for today's show. Remember, we don't want to say what you want us to say. We want to hear it be an advocate for your pet. But then again, Pete never says what you want him to say. Nope. He just says whatever he feels like saying. Inappropriate or not. Or not so inappropriate, but
well, I can be inappropriate. I mean, it's not a problem. I don't have an
politically
issue with
correct.
Politically correct. I don't have a problem with that.
That's it. So we were just talking about how I was down at the Global Pet Expo, and everybody and their brother is on this raw or fresh diet kick.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There were a lot of kibble brands there, but it seemed like everyone was pushing for this raw or fresh food.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we call them warts. Dog food.
Yeah, I mean, in the office, I see people that, we had our dog, they have the problem. One of the problems I see as a veterinarian is sometimes that people come in and say, well, our dog quit eating, so we went and got him some fresh pet. Then we got him some farmer's dog.
Yeah, which is expensive.
Okay. It is expensive. But the point, in fact, being is, yes, he ate that. It did taste better. But the problem is this dog had a problem. Why did he quit eating? And so they'll feed him this stuff, and they say, well, he finally quit eating the fresh pet. And then he finally quit eating and then he finally wouldn't even eat peanut butter off a spoon or anything. I'm like,
because there's a problem?
Yeah, now they want to come see me and figure out what's going on with this dog for the last month, which is okay. The only thing is it's not okay.
Right.
Because that disease has a big head start on you when you get to this point.
And are you talking about copper storage disease?
Well, I'm talking about every disease.
Okay.
If it's Lyme, if it's heartworm, if it's parvo, if it's, a liver tumor, if it's a splenic tumor.
Whatever it is, the food is not going to necessarily.
Yeah, they have a head start. I can almost gauge this stuff sometimes. Every once in a while, somebody will come in and say, well, our dog was doing great, and then all of a sudden he was down for 2 days, then he was doing all right, and then he was down for another 3 days, and then now he's doing great, now he's down again. You know what that is? You know what that normally is?
What is that?
That's usually a splenic tumor.
Really?
And the splenic tumor ruptures, and they bleed into the abdomen, and they're sick the day they bleed into the abdomen, but then they sort of self-transfuse themselves.
Oh.
But the problem is the tumor keeps getting bigger, and every time it breaks or every time it ruptures, it bleeds more and more and more until the dog exsanguinates. So that's the issue. If you get a dog like that, he's doing really good, then he does this, then he's doing really good, then he does that. Splenic tumors, it's classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Intussusceptions might be classified.
How do you test for that? Blood work?
You can just palpate the abdomen and feel them usually. Palpate with your fingers.
You just feel it?
Yeah, feel it with both hands.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you palpate the abdomen, see what the abdomen. There's two kinds of abdomen. Some are really painful. Some aren't. And, say they're soft and pliable. They're not soft and pliable. So you just start doing your exam. Where are we running a temperature? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that break and self-transfuse. So all the Voyager dog food in the world, all the fresh pet is not going to do this dog any good. You need to go ahead and figure out what it is. And I understand why they're doing that, because they think, well, it's going to be expensive to
so it's going to be better.
It'd be better because maybe we won't be as far along when we have to go in and remove the spleen or something.
Yeah. Not necessarily.
So in other spleens, some of them are malignant, some of them aren't malignant. But if you have a
what's
malignant mean whether cancer or not. So benign, which means harmless.
Harmless, okay.
Or malignant, which is, I guess, malignant. But so if it's malignant, it means it has a chance to transfer to the, move to other organs, maybe the kidneys, maybe the dog's.
How does that work with dogs' cancer? Does is there specific cancer to specific things, and it can move to, like, if you had, I don't know.
So every cancer is different.
What type of cancers do dogs get?
Well, they get everything. They get everything that people
get. Skin cancer?
They get leukemia. Yeah, they can get skin cancer. They get leukemia.
Could the skin cancer transfer to something else?
It generally doesn't. Although sometimes some of the stuff we see in skin can be, I don't know, there's this thing that goes on in the liver where you have a tumor in the liver, and it's portrayed by lesions on the skin.
Yeah.
What do they call that? There's a term for it.
What is it? Hold on, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. Skin cancer in dogs. It's a hepatic cutaneous sarcomas. Hepatic cutaneous.
Is that the word?
Hepatic cutaneous lymphoma. It's actually kind of lymphoma of the skin. So you see.
I see a bunch of different skin cancer in dogs. Mast cell tumors.
Yeah, we see those all the time.
Squamous
cell carcinomas.
Yep. Malignant melanoma.
Yep.
Basal cell carcinoma.
Yep. That's what people get sometimes from sitting in the sun.
Dang, your dogs can get it from UV exposure?
Mycosis fungoides. That's what it used to be called. Mycosis fungoides. And,
what? I didn't know they could get it from UV exposure just from being outside too long.
Well, if you got pink skin.
Oh, so like my labs wouldn't necessarily.
Nope. A dog with a pink nose might get it though.
Old age, breed predisposition. Interesting.
Yeah, so
like boxers, bulldogs, and Boston Terriers.
Yep. So there's all sorts of stuff that they get. And really what you have to do is kind of define what we do at work is we just stick a needle in it and then take the cells and put them on a slide and see what it is. Now, sometimes we know exactly what it is. Sometimes we don't know exactly what it is.
Right.
But if we know exactly what it is, we can go ahead. I got a dog that just had a mast cell tumor of the prepuce. The covering over his penis, the prepuce. So what that thing had been allowed to get huge. So we had to go ahead and actually put that dog on lomustine or something called Sinu, and then shrunk it up and then cut it off when it got to be smaller.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like we got very off topic talking about raw food.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now we got in the whole cancer
thing.
the
raw food thing is like, let's just feed them raw food. It's going to make them better. No. You got a real disease. They're going to make them better.
No.
Yeah. So if you're going to do it because you think that's what you want to feed is raw food, then go ahead and do it. But understand there's a couple of things, one called Salmonella, the other called E. coli. And you're going to see that sometimes with raw diets.
Yeah,
you're going to have contamination.
I did ask a couple of the raw food companies when I was in Orlando at the Global Pet Expo. I was like, do you ever see salmonella? And they were like, it's always a risk. And they didn't really touch on it that much.
No, of course they don't. And I think that's the thing is, when you get that, I mean, there's a number of things you can get from eating raw foods.
One company came back at me and said, well, you can get salmonella in kibble.
You can. No question about it.
Yeah.
But that stuff is usually, that has to go through safety standards.
Oh, so raw food doesn't?
No, I don't think it does.
Hold on. Let me Google this. Raw dog food does not undergo heat sterilization to eliminate bacteria.
Yep. So if you got it, you got it.
It often carries high risk of contamination.
Yes.
Ooh. Oh, this one's interesting. It says some studies are finding harmful bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli in over 35% of samples.
So what you have a threshold where if you have 1,000 E. coli, nothing happens. If you have 2,000 E. coli, nothing happens. If you have 5,000 E. coli organisms, nothing happens. If you have 5,002 E. coli microorganisms, then all of a sudden you get diarrhea and you're sick.
It also says it has antibiotic resistance. Studies indicate raw-fed pets have an elevated risk of shedding antibiotic-resistant bacteria, such as extended spectrum beta-lactam.
Beta-lactams, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like amoxicillin, clavamoxin, that sort of stuff. Yep. So here's what happens. So you run that risk, okay?
Yeah.
Do you run it with the farmer's dog? I don't know. I mean, it gets delivered.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million different.
Yeah, and if it's 80 degrees out and it gets delivered, and if it's on ice, it probably not much happens.
I think they do have to ship it on ice.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
But I don't know what happens if you're on vacation and you come back and it's still on dry ice.
Mm-hmm.
Probably ain't on dry ice anymore. So I think it's like everything, You got milk in the refrigerator, it's 3 days out of date, probably you throw it away.
But
you want to drink it and see if you get sick or not, knock yourself out.
Here's the thing that everyone was pushing, though. They said that in a lot of raw dog foods, there's 100% what are they called? The minerals. They're not...
Oh, synthetic.
Synthetic, that's it. Non-synthetic minerals. Okay. Versus in kibble, the minerals are synthetic. So basically what we're talking about here is if I wanted vitamin D... Mm-hmm. And I took it in pill form rather than stepping outside and getting sunlight. Like you can either get it from a source or you can get it from a supplement. Synthetic supplement.
So
I don't see anything wrong with that though. I mean, it's kind of like vegetarian people. They got to take, what is it, B12?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't see anything.
Well, if you're eating honestly, if you're middle-aged and you're eating a regular diet.
Or vitamin C or something.
Well, you're eating a regular diet. Yeah, you're having orange juice in the morning, and then you have a cup of coffee with some cream in it, and then you go have an English muffin with maybe some fruit on it. When you get done. I mean, so you should be able to kind of balance your own diet out if you can. And most people are, if they're eating from all the food groups and everything. The problem is, a lot of people don't eat from all the food groups. So I mean, I'm going to tell you, when we did that study that got published in the AVMA Journal, there was one dog in there that belonged to somebody I knew that was eating our food but had a really high copper. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened here? Well, the dog had eaten something most of its life, and it was probably genetically prone to getting copper storage disease. But then, they were feeding our food, but they were also feeding beef heart, which had a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were feeding beef heart and oatmeal. And I don't think the oatmeal had a lot in it, and I don't think our dog food had hardly any in it, but I think the beef heart had a lot in it. And that dog couldn't excrete very much. So was he in danger of dying from he's 800, which is, you really rather down in the mid 200s. Mm-hmm. He was 800. It isn't what killed him. Something else killed him.
Yeah.
But, you just have to go ahead and, so his water was something different. Although if he'd lived a little longer, maybe he'd had copper problems. But I think the clients didn't realize that there was a lot of copper in organ meat.
I was going to say, I don't think a lot of raw foods add chelated copper to their mixture.
They don't need to. They got a lot. If they got raw diets and you're using organ meat, there's a ton in there.
Yeah, I was actually just explaining to someone the other day on Facebook, because they were asking, I know that your chicken byproduct meal is organ meat and chicken meal. And she said she got that information from somebody, and I was like, yep, it is. And then she said, well, what mainly is in the organ meal? I was listing a few off, and I was like, liver. And she's like, well, liver can contain super high copper concentrations. Mm-hmm. And this is why I said, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I said chicken liver, they're not alive long enough to accumulate that much.
They can actually accumulate a fair amount, and what you have to do is you have to figure out how much is in a chicken. And it depends on what kind of chicken byproduct that is, because if it's an old chicken that was used to make eggs and stuff, it may have a fair amount in there. Yeah. If it's just
ours doesn't,
what they call a broiler.
Yeah.
And the broilers don't have much, although quite frankly, we're having some problems with them adding more copper.
In the water source, right?
Yeah, because they took the antibiotics out of the food. So when they took the antibiotics out, they put something in to replace it to
make them grow faster.
Well, to lessen the death load.
Wow.
So apparently there's some sort of a life extenuating results when you when you add copper. And so I think right now, the last I heard, they're adding either copper sulfate or copper citrate, and they're both very bioavailable. So chicken can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
So the chicken's almost kind of lucky it doesn't live to be as old as we are, because it would have problems later on. And so, and that's why we see a lot more in like a dairy cow. You get a dairy cow liver where the dairy cow's 9-10 years old and had this stuff, shoveled in for a long time, copper sulfate.
Yep.
Yeah, they got their livers. Their livers are a mess. We don't ever think of it. For all you people like liver pate.
Pate.
Liver pate. I think if you go to a restaurant, I think they call it pate.
What is it called when it's a duck liver?
Oh, I don't know.
The French one?
I don't know. No idea.
De gras. Or faux de gras. Faux de gras, that's it.
It is.
That's a fatty liver.
Well, I can't tell you what it's called, but I do know this much: when you're feeding raw foods, there may be some benefits to it, but there's also a few downsides. And I think people probably ought to know what the downsides are before they decide to feed it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. You're responsible for keeping it fresh. We make kibble, and most of the stuff comes. We feed all ours up in 2 months.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything around here very long.
For someone like me, especially since I travel a lot, it'd be really hard to manage a fresh or a raw diet.
Sure, it would be.
And it would be expensive, since I have 2 labs and a dachshund. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just like kibble at stores better. especially.
Well, I don't think the fresh people are going to take this thing over. I don't think the raw people are going to take this over.
I think
and by
mainly
the way,
people buy kibble.
some of these freeze-dried treats, that everybody's big on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my word!
They have so much copper.
They have so much copper. That's right. We looked at a freeze-dried liver treat that was made from grass-fed cattle.
Yeah.
So you think, oh, grass-fed, they're just out on pasture. It was 155 parts per million.
Yeah.
Which is that's crazy high. Well, it wasn't. It must have been eating grass clippings.
Yeah.
Because it sure as hell was eating a lot of other stuff to go along with it. It wouldn't have had that much copper in there.
I just looked it up about how many people feed kibble versus raw. If you want to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear.
The majority of pet owners, approximately 75.7, still use kibble. Many mixing percent. Yeah. Many of whom mix it with wet or fresh food.
Mm-hmm.
Raw feeding is popular in countries like the UK and Europe, and is growing. Newly popular in the U.S. Surveys indicate 3 to 4% of U.S. owners purchase raw, but others estimate 10% of cats and 15 to 25% of dogs are fed in some regions. Why people choose raw?
Well, the problem with cats, you have to make sure they got enough taurine. Otherwise they get
purine or taurine, yeah, because they get
DCM,
dilated cardiomyopathy. Yeah.
And that happened back when I was a kid, when I was a young veterinarian. They were having DCM in cats, and they figured out because the taurine was not being added to the diet.
Actually, someone said at the Global Pet Expo that cats are starting to surpass dogs. Have you heard that?
No.
Someone told me that because the younger generation, they don't want kids anymore. They want dogs because they're easier to take care of and they're a little cheaper. And then someone at the Global Pet Expo was like, actually, cats are becoming more popular because people want to go away for the weekend and not have to worry about getting a dog sitter.
That may be, but they don't outnumber dogs.
That's what he was saying. He was like, actually, we think that it's going to creep up and surpass dogs. I was
maybe
I
it is.
don't think so.
We may not live long enough to see that, but that's possible.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
So, yeah. So I think
feel like dogs are getting more expensive, though.
You're just going to have to look at everything, and you're going to have to look at the dog foods. And, there's a lot of dog foods fairly inexpensive, and you're kind of getting what you're paying for. I mean, if you go out for a night on the town, can we go to, where are we going to go? Are we going to go to White Castle? Or, where are we going for dinner? Are we going to trade up a little bit and go to Burger King? Or are we going to go to...
Burger King's a trade up from White Castle?
Or we're going to go up to Red Robin, or are we going to go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse?
Oh.
So everybody has to decide what they want to do. So in essence, what you and I are talking about today is everybody needs to decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to...
I'd go to Ruth Chris.
Yeah. Would you go to White Castle?
If it was my only option.
Yeah, but if you only had...
If I only had $10 in my wallet,
that's your only option.
I would go to White Castle,
yes.
but...
Yep. So I think that's, you're going to have to look at stuff. And so people are making decisions. And I've said this all along. People will trade up to trade down, to trade up to trade down.
They will.
They will cut wood so they don't have to buy natural gas to heat their house. And they'll put a wood burner in. And
it's
they will...
free.
Yeah, but then they'll quit drinking Popov and move all the way up to Grey Goose for their vodka. So they
cut one side to supplement the other.
They trade it up to trade down, to trade up, to trade down.
Fair enough.
So you're going to have to figure out what are you going to get. Some people only are going to buy designer purses. Some people are just going to buy a purse.
So dumb, by the way.
I know, and maybe most people really should buy a purse that
holds their shit.
That a pickpocket couldn't get into. Yeah, it's got a bear trap in there.
Yeah.
So you ride up and down the escalator in Chicago and wait till somebody loses a hand. That's a joke, by the way.
I know.
I guess it's not funny. Anyway. Oof. Well, now there's blood all over my stuff. Anyway.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, eat some raw. That hand will cure right up. So
my gosh.
Eat some raw. Eat some fresh pet.
Some salmonella. No, I'm just kidding. We can't talk shit on other companies.
We can't? Okay.
No.
Okay. Well,
politically correct. Remember?
Is this going to get edited? Probably is it going to get edited?
I'm sure it's not.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
Anyway, that's some really dark humor, but
yeah, but that's okay because we're
people
here.
People do they will go ahead and people will say, well, I wish I could afford to feed this food. I wish I could afford to feed that food.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people who do, and for the people who feed Fresh Pet and Farmer's Dog, and they got the money to do it, they're very happy with those foods sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got no problem with that. I'm not going to talk them down. I think that they do a good job.
Yeah, if you can afford it and your dog likes it and your dog's doing well in it.
But understand what the risks are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
So understand what the risks are. And the idea you're going to balance your own diet out ain't happening.
No.
You will not be able to. You will not
unless you have like a PhD.
Well, if you know what you're making it out of, and then there's a place called Balance It. We talked about that before.
Yeah, I actually talked to a vet down in Orlando that hated that company.
You did? Why do you hate them?
She? Synthetic vitamins.
Oh.
She hated synthetic vitamins. I was like, well, not everybody can balance out their diet to be exactly what they need it to be.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know. Like,
well, they're going mainstream. You know, I mean, if you want to drive over 90 miles, I guess you better not get an electric car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you like electric cars because you think that's good for the earth, then get yourself an electric car. Hell, do whatever you want to do. You know, as far as if you want to feed raw, hell, feed raw. But if you and understand that you're at some risk for Listeria and Salmonella. If you want to do kibble,
feed kibble.
You do have some risk for Salmonella, but that all undergoes micro.
Yeah.
Before it's delivered.
Yeah.
Before it's delivered.
Exactly.
And that's what you want to have. And so and in fact, we get our food in and we always send out another sample after we get it. And,
exactly.
You don't do it micro, but you try to make sure everything's in there that's supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
And that's important. That
exactly.
Everything's in there that should be in there.
Is there anything else you want to touch on, raw versus kibble?
No. What else happened at the Global Pet Expo?
I'm trying to think. Talked with a lot of people. A lot of influencers with service dogs were there. It's very interesting. Really? Yeah. I got to meet a very nice lady that had a dog that would alert on her seizures.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. She was amazing.
Good.
Yeah. If you guys look her up on Instagram.
Well, and I think there's a lot of fun stuff down
we did
there.
a podcast with her, so she was cool.
Yeah, and I've been down there before. Although I think there's a lot of misinformation and
stuff. There is. Actually, I walked around with a few people that would go up to the booths and question ingredients. My big thing was I just could not believe how many people were working those booths that were uneducated on their own product.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Why would you send somebody? I mean, that's expensive for a plane ticket. It's expensive to stay in an expensive hotel. Why would they not be properly trained? Anybody that works here, maybe even the guys in the shipping department here could go to a convention
and tell you exactly about Voyager
and shoot
dog
the
food.
shit with clients and tell them what's going on. That's right, because we talked about it enough.
It was crazy because one lady, they had a supplement company, and I flip it over and I always read the ingredients, and the first ingredient was potato starch.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is potato starch the first ingredient?
And what did they say?
I asked the girl and she goes, I don't know. And I was like, could you grab someone that knows, please? And she was like, yeah, let me go ask. And she asked like 4 or 5 people in the booth and none of them had any idea. No, and then I went around and I trolled the dog food companies. I was like, do you know how much copper is in your dog food? None of them knew.
Well, some of them thought more would be better.
Yeah. Anna Marie's company.
We see that from time to time. Yeah.
Anna Marie is so funny. She was going around. She's like, who can we start a fight with about the copper levels in their food? I was like, no one. I don't want to start a fight.
So her dog had copper, so she's angry about it.
Yeah,
and she's,
rightfully so.
And she's freshly angry about it.
Yep.
And that the people that have dogs that die from this, I'm not sure most of them ever really quite get over this because what they did was they chose that food for their dog.
Yeah, thinking it was going to be healthy.
Yeah, I think it was going to be healthy, and it wasn't. So I mean, they have buyer's remorse, so to speak.
You have a dog in the fight.
Mm. Yeah. So we're doing what we're supposed to do.
We are.
Yep. Did anybody look at your badge and go, "Oh, it's you"?
No. Actually, it said the Scoop Pet Food. Oh, so I was playing like I worked for Beth.
Okay.
So nobody knew that I was Voyager Dog Food, which was good.
Yeah.
But
otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if they have tar and feather at that show, but you might have gotten.
I might have
a chance to be introduced to them. Then they got to run you out of town once they get you tarred and feathered.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Nobody was talking.
But I guess with Uber and Lyft, I suppose they could
get me places.
Pay them to run you out of town.
Yeah.
But now you're in the back seat.
I did have the Voyager.
You're in the back seat of their car with Now you're in the backseat of their car with tar and feathers all over you. Yeah.
I did have the Voyager truck with me though.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, whose vehicle is that? I did hear 2 people when I was eating lunch talking about, did you see that crazy truck in the parking lot? And I was like, I wonder what they're talking about. And then he pulls out his phone and I looking over the guy's shoulder. I'm like, that's my truck.
And what did he say?
I didn't say anything. He was like, oh man, what a cool company. I wonder if they're exhibiting here.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
We sell direct. And so that's the one thing, and probably the listeners ought to know, we just sell direct for the most part. We have a few people that distribute for us, but not very many. It's such a complicated story. Yeah. It's such a complicated story that somebody's well-versed in it can explain it. Mm-hmm. But if you got some 19-year-old kid working at a pet store, they aren't getting it.
They're not going to get it.
No. It's what?
It's what?
Oh.
When we did put our food into stores for a hot minute, I did try to go in and educate the employees. And then I was listening to them repeat it to one of the customers, and they were like, oh, yeah, it helps the dog's kidneys because of magnesium buildup or something. I was like, ooh, close, wrong organ and wrong metal, or not magnesium, but I was like, it's copper in the liver, not magnesium in the kidneys.
Dare we talk about one of the things we've discovered lately or not?
What?
The cremains thing?
No, we should save that for a different podcast.
Okay,
that should be a whole other podcast.
Okay.
The secret information coming out soon.
Yeah.
But we're going to get more information on it, and it's going to blow your minds. We're going to give you little breadcrumbs, but it
has nothing to do with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, just as expose ourselves beforehand.
I did show people that photo. I showed everyone that photo down at Global Pet.
What'd they say?
What the?
Yeah.
They looked at it and they were like, well, that's not right. And they thought that it was like photoshopped or something. And I was like, no, that's actually what it is.
Yep.
And they were like, that's so messed up.
Yep.
But it's the effects of copper.
It is.
So we will do another podcast on that. Until then, you got anything else to say, Dr. Pete?
No, I'm pretty much fleshed out today.
Okay. Let's get some outro music going. We sure appreciate you guys listening along with us today. We hope that we've been able to share some good information that will help you love your dogs as much as they love you. Don't forget, always treat the treatable, prevent the preventable, and we will catch you on the next one.
So long.
Minus the salmonella.
And
E. coli.
Yeah, and I don't have it because I sat through this whole thing without having to get up. So
there you go.
Pretty obvious.
See you guys.